If you guys have been around my channel for a while, you might know that Generation 4 is my all-time favorite generation of Pokemon out there. It introduced so much to the series like online play, which I think is a huge reason why myself and a lot of other Pokemon fans are still interested in Pokemon today after nearly 20 years. Generation 4 is also famous for having a ton of legendary Pokemon, most notably the two cover legendaries, Dialga and Palkia. We had a poll in my community tab for which of these two you guys would rather see in the next episode of the best Pokemon series, and since Dialga won, let's talk about if Dialga is the best Pokemon or not. Also be sure to leave a like as it helps the channel grow tremendously, subscribe if you're new, and let me know in the comments down below which Pokemon you want to see in a future poll for the next best Pokemon video. Now, in case you guys are new to the best Pokemon series, in a nutshell, we take a look at some of the best Pokemon from a competitive standpoint and rate them on a scale 1 through 5 based on offense, defense, versatility, move pool, and overall viability, and discuss if they are the best Pokemon or not. It's very important that you guys understand that this series is from a competitive standpoint only, so please be sure to read the description in case you guys want to see more information as to how this works. So taking a closer look at Dialga, Dialga is a Dragon and Steel type Pokemon introduced in Generation 4 with the abilities Pressure and Telepathy. Dialga has a stat line of 100 HP, 120 attack, 120 defense, 150 special attack, 100 special defense, and 90 speed. Now these are some pretty beefy stats with only one stat being below 100, which is the 90 in speed. So it shouldn't really be all that surprising why Dialga was voted to be featured in this series. Before we talk about what makes Dialga so great, let's take a look at some of Dialga's negatives since every Pokemon has some flaws, including Dialga. Now just as a little bit of a disclaimer for the best Pokemon series, some of these negatives tend to be a little bit too nitpicky, but I do have to be a little bit harsher on the negatives for the best Pokemon series than I am for the worst Pokemon series, since we are talking about the best of the best here. So for the first negative, Dialga has some pretty mediocre abilities. Telepathy does literally nothing in single battles, but at least in doubles or VGC, it does help Dialga dodge earthquakes from its partner, which can be pretty helpful. Pressure on the other hand isn't a terrible ability, but it doesn't really do all that much either. Sure, you could do something like Pressure Stall against healing Pokemon such as Blissey or Toxapex, but those really can't hurt you that much anyway, so it's not that much of a big deal. The next negative is Dialga struggles a little bit against the primal Pokemon. If we're talking about Smogon Ubers or even previous VGC formats that allowed the primals, primals run rampant. They are some of the best Pokemon in the formats. Primal Groudon is capable of taking down Dialga with relative ease thanks to its ground stab, while Primal Kyogre is able to tank a lot of hits from Dialga, especially from the specially offensive side. If these two primal Pokemon didn't exist, I think Dialga would have a much easier time in both of these formats. Now this kind of relates to the last point a little bit, but since you are weak to ground, Primal Groudon is a ground type, you do struggle against ground types as a whole, meaning you really want to have that Shuca Berry. This does hinder your item usage a little bit, and the Shuca Berry is almost a necessity in VGC due to the item clause that is in that format, and of course to the overall popularity of the move Earthquake. So now on to the positives, the typing, Dragon and Steel. That is such an amazing typing. You have so many resists, it's actually insane, which kind of leads on to the next point, which is overall defense. Dialga's unique typing of Dragon and Steel is a fantastic defensive typing, I know I'm repeating myself, but this typing gives Dialga a staggering 9 resistances on top of the immunity to poison. The Steel type also makes Dialga's neutral to Fairy, Dragon, and Ice, which are Dragon's typing's only weaknesses. This is just completely amazing, and I don't think there's too many Pokemon out there that have more resistances than Dialga. For the next positive, your overall offense. The typing of Dragon and Steel is not only great defensively, but is also great offensively as you have super effective stab to hit Fairy types in Steel, and Dragon is an all-around good offensive type to have, since the only things you have to worry about are opposing Steel or Fairy types. Now if you guys couldn't figure this out already, I absolutely love this typing, and I wish they could see more Pokemon in the future with the same typing, because I think that Dialga's typing is its strongest positive. Next up, support options. Dialga has access to great support options to help your team, such as Stealth Rocks, Roar, Thunder Wave, and Trigger to name a few, and this allows Dialga to do a lot of different things for your team. Continuing on with the move pool, you have fantastic offensive coverage. Dialga has plenty of great offensive moves, which gives you a lot of different options, which we'll talk about in the ratings in a second. So for the first rating of offense, I will give Dialga a 4.5 out of 5. Now, I really wanted to give Dialga a 5, and you could certainly make the argument that Dialga deserves a 5. However, in a tier where so many Pokemon have insanely high attack stats, 120 in attack and 150 in special attack don't really stand out all that much. This by no means makes Dialga a bad offensive Pokemon, But if we were to compare it offensively to something like Mega Mewtwo Y, Necrozma Dustmane, or either of the primals, they all have significantly higher attack stats, which doesn't make Dialga seem as powerful. For defense, I will give Dialga a 4 out of 5. Now, even though Dialga does struggle a little bit against those ground types like we were saying earlier, it only has 2 total weaknesses of ground and fighting, and a whopping 9 resistances and that 1 poison immunity, making Dialga such a fantastic defensive typing. Dialga does lack some reliable recovery, however, but its typing alone makes it such a good defensive Pokemon on top of its high HP stat to warrant a pretty good rating of 4 out of 5. For versatility, I'll give Dialga a 4 out of 5 because Dialga is a relatively versatile Pokemon since it can be used as a support option, an offensive powerhouse on the physical or special side, and of course, mixed. The only real hindrance to its versatility is its mediocre abilities and its reliance on the Shuca Berry item. If you pair Dialga with a lot of Pokemon that are capable of handling its weaknesses, which shouldn't really be that hard since there's only 2, then that'll sort of mitigate the reliance on the Shuca Berry and allow Dialga to do a lot more. For Movepool, we'll give Dialga a 5 out of 5 because Dialga has a fantastic move pool and there's really no arguing about that. You have plenty of coverage moves like Aura Sphere, Flamethrower, Rock Slide, and Thunderbolt, just to name a few, as well as great support options like we mentioned earlier. There's so many good moves you can run on Dialga, which, going back to versatility, is another reason why Dialga has a pretty high rating in versatility. And for viability, I will give Dialga a 4 out of 5. Now, this one might come as a little bit of a surprise to you, because even though Dialga is a fantastic Pokemon in a vacuum, its main struggles come from the formats it's involved in and its surrounding metagame. In VGC formats that allowed Dialga, it was dominated by primals and just couldn't keep up with them. In Smogon singles, it stands a little bit better of a chance, but there's just too many Pokemon out there that don't really care too much about seeing a Dialga on the other side of the field. It still is a very good Pokemon, just not the most viable Pokemon in its given formats. So for a Dialga set you could try, first we have Smogon's recommended Dialga set, which is Dialga with the Life Orb or the Shuca Berry. Personally, I would say Shuca Berry for this set. Pressure ability, because telepathy does nothing in Smogon. 104 HP, 252 special attack, 152 speed, modest nature, stealth rocks, Draco Meteor, Fire Blast, and Thunder. This is a primarily offensive set with a little bit of bulk and stealth rocks support your team. And the last 2 coverage options can be just about any 2 coverage moves that will support your team's needs. Next up, we have Dialga with the leftovers, pressure ability, max HP, max special attack, modest nature, flash cannon, Draco Meteor, Fire Blast, and Thunder. Now this is a more bulky set, only a slightly different than the first set, but it is a set that I think can be complemented on a lot of teams. Leftovers allows Dialga to heal a little bit more damage each turn and take less damage thanks to the max HP investment. You could run just about any 4 coverage moves you want, although I do recommend at least having the Steel Stab and the Dragon Stab. And that's pretty much it for Dialga. Is Dialga the best Pokemon? Let me know what you guys think of Dialga in the comment section down below for a chance to have your comment featured in the next best Pokemon video, like this comment right here. Personally, I think Dialga is a fantastic Pokemon on paper, but I think it's farther than you might think from being considered one of the best Pokemon out there. Make sure you guys leave a like if you haven't already, as it helps the channel a ton. Subscribe with notifications turned on so you don't miss a future upload, and so you don't miss the poll for the next best Pokemon series or the poll for the next worst Pokemon series, which should be out shortly. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have a great rest of your day. I will see you guys next time, and bye bye.